Are Christians free from the law? A rebuttal to the false argument against the Sabbath. The claim that Christians are free from the old law and therefore are not obligated to keep the Sabbath is a misinterpretation of Scripture. This argument assumes that because we are saved by grace, God's moral law no longer applies. However, let's challenge this argument with irrefutable biblical evidence. 1. Does freedom from the law mean lawlessness? Romans chapter 3:31 states, "Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, yea, we establish the law." If Paul says that faith does not void the law but rather establishes it, how can anyone claim we are free to disregard it? Moreover, Jesus himself said, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." Matthew 5:17. Fulfillment does not mean abolition. The same argument could be made for all 10 commandments, yet no Christian would claim it is now acceptable to murder, steal, or commit adultery. 2. Galatians 3:10 and the all-or-nothing fallacy. The skeptic claims that if one part of the law is kept, all of it must be kept, including sacrificial laws. However, this confuses God's moral law, 10 commandments, with the ceremonial law, sacrifices, feasts, temple rituals. The 10 commandments were written by God on stone, Exodus 31:18, signifying their permanence. The ceremonial law was written by Moses in a book, Deuteronomy 31:24-26, and was a temporary system pointing to Christ. Hebrews 9:9-10 clarifies that Christ's sacrifice ended ceremonial laws, not moral law. Paul's argument in Galatians is not against keeping God's commandments, but against using the law as a means of justification. Salvation is by faith, but obedience follows faith. If ye love me, keep my commandments. John 14:15. 3. Did Paul abolish the Sabbath in Colossians 2:16? Many argue that Paul told the Colossians that Sabbaths no longer matter. However, this is a misreading of the text. Colossians 2:16-17 states, "Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day, or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ." Paul refers to ceremonial Sabbaths tied to Jewish festivals, not the weekly Sabbath of the 10 Commandments. The weekly Sabbath is not a shadow, but a creation ordinance, Genesis chapter 2:2-3, before sin even entered the world. If Paul had meant the weekly Sabbath, why did he himself keep it? Acts 17:2-18:4. 4. Are we under Christ's law and not God's law? Some claim that Christians only follow Christ's law. Yet Christ and the Father are one, John 10:30, and Jesus upheld the Sabbath, Luke 4:16. If Christ only wanted people to follow his law, why did he say, "If thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments"? Matthew 19:17. 5. Who changed the Sabbath to Sunday? If the Sabbath was abolished, why was it observed after Christ's resurrection? Jesus' followers kept the Sabbath after his death, Luke 23:56. Paul preached on the Sabbath even among Gentiles, Acts 13:44, Acts 18:4. Hebrews 4:9 states, "There remaineth therefore a rest, sabbatismos, to the people of God." The Greek word sabbatismos means Sabbath-keeping. History shows that Sunday worship was enforced by Emperor Constantine in 321 AD and later adopted by the Catholic Church. The Catholic record, Septuagint 1, 1923, states, "Sunday is our mark of authority. The Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact." 6. Final challenge to skeptics and pastors. Where does Jesus or the apostles ever command the abolition of the Sabbath? Why did Jesus say he is Lord of the Sabbath, Mark chapter 2:28, if it was to be discarded? Why does Hebrews 4:9 say Sabbath keeping remains for God's people? If we accept all other 10 commandments, why reject only one? If salvation by grace eliminates the law, does that mean Christians can steal, murder, and commit adultery? Until these questions can be answered with clear biblical proof, the command remains, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Exodus 28. Let God be true, but every man a liar. Romans 3:4.